Okay, I thought that during my YouTube news career, I would really only report on one close call between a tornado and a cruise ship. But joke's on me, because yet another cruise ship, and this time a really big one, just had a very close encounter with yet another tornado. And I'm going to show you the video. Plus, we talk about the first cruise leaving from Australia since before the pandemic, and what's to become of the Carnival Freedom. Let's roll the intro. Hey, welcome to the Midships channel. I'm your Captain Corey, and thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. It's wonderful to have you here, and I hope you enjoyed your long weekend, and I hope you thanked a veteran along the way, or at least spent a little bit of time reflecting on those who gave everything so we could have what we have here now, cruises included. And as is tradition, we're starting off today's episode with a question of the day. And since we're talking about some bad weather, the question of the day is, if you're on a cruise and there's bad weather, what's your favorite thing to do on board the ship? Comment your answer down below this video. And while you're down there, why don't you think about smashing that thumbs up button? It helps me a ton. All right, let's get into this first story about the tornado. Or should I say water spout? They're called water spouts when they're over water, even though they're pretty much the same thing. However, I do think a water spout is typically a little bit weaker than a tornado on land. I'm not really sure though, I'm not a meteorologist. But let me paint a picture for you here. I'm gonna put on my Bob Ross afro, get my happy little trees going, and beat the devil out of it. You're at Disney Cruise Line's private island, Castaway Cay. It's Sunday afternoon, May the 30th. The Disney Dream is docked at the island from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The weather, it can only be described as poor. Overcast, rain showers, strong winds, things you typically don't want on your cruise vacation. However, it wasn't bad enough to keep the ship from stopping in the private island and docking. So that should at least help set the scene a little bit for you of what went down. Now, take a look at this video. This was shot by Chris Moore. It comes from his Twitter. And this is the water spout that formed right off the south end of Castaway Cay, just hundreds of yards away from the Disney Dream. Now, fortunately, no damage came from the incident. No one was injured, but guests did reportedly have to shelter in place on the island because during an electrical storm, you're not actually able to board a ship because of the metal gangways. So this all begs the question, will we see a new animated Disney movie, maybe about a cruise ship and a tornado? Mickey, are you listening? This could be a good movie plot. And don't forget, it's only been like 2 months and a week since the last time we reported on a tornado meeting up with a cruise ship, when back on March 22nd, the Seven Seas Mariner was sailing out of New Orleans and she ran across a similar situation. So that begs the question, why are the meteorological offices of these cruise lines not recommending that cruise ships leave the area when there's a strong possibility of a tornado? I don't know the answer. Again, see Exhibit A. I am not a meteorologist, but I am a guy on the internet that does ask a lot of questions that I assume you have as well. And if you know the answer, please let me know about it down below this video. Now, with all that said, obviously it's pretty clear that when you're in a tropical climate with warm, moist air and lots of wind, well, storms like this tend to crop up pretty frequently. And that's probably the biggest reason why we don't see cruise ships packing up and leaving town every time there's the slightest inkling of bad weather. They're just kind of used to it by now. But remember, tornadoes aren't the only thing we have to worry about because hurricane season is now officially upon us, at least the early part of it is. There's a hurricane making landfall as I speak down in Mexico, and God bless the souls of those people who are having to live with that today. And remember, cruises operate everywhere where hurricanes and cyclonic activity occurs. So make sure you stay subscribed to this channel for any updates on cruises that are affected by weather throughout the summer season. But weather is not the only way cruises can be affected, and one other way is by the darn ship catching on fire. Many of you will remember last week down in Turks and Caicos on May 26th, the funnel of the Freedom caught fire, and half of it is now gone. Well, it's time for an update on the whole situation, and it's as follows. So most of you will know that the guests spent an additional 2 days waiting in Grand Turk for the Carnival Conquest to come and collect the passengers who were supposed to already have been home on board the Carnival Freedom. Now, Carnival most likely kept the passengers on board the Freedom and cruised them home instead of flying them because of a lot of immigration problems. Remember, unlike most international travel, you don't need a passport to leave the US on a cruise. And to come back to the US without a passport, not on your cruise ship, becomes a big problem, and lots of problems for lots of guests. That's a lot of headaches at immigrations and customs, and I think Carnival saw the writing on the wall with that problem, and they just said, to heck with that, we're not going through that PR nightmare, we're sending a cruise ship to take these guests home. So 2 days after the fire on May 28th, guests were transferred over to the Carnival Conquest with open arms, and most were really excited about it, which set an immediate course for Port Canaveral, and she arrived back home early morning yesterday on May 30th. Now, as far as the lasting impact to the fire that occurred, the Carnival Freedom has a few cruises canceled. May 28th, June 2nd, and June 6th so far have all been canceled, while the ship receives repairs in Freeport, Grand Bahama. Remember, it's probably not just the funnel that suffered damage. If you watch the video carefully, there's flaming debris falling all over the deck of the ship, and it's likely there's repairs needed, or at least minor repairs needed, to more than just the funnel. We don't know where the water went that was hosed to put the fire out. There's likely some other damage somewhere else on the ship that we haven't seen or heard about. Carnival says it's very minimal to none, but I've been through burnt out buildings and I've seen what it looks like after a fire's put out. It's never just the char. There's always smell, there's water damage, there's electrical problems, all sorts of things that come with an incident like this. And these are all things that have to be remedied to get the ship seaworthy and safe to take passengers on board once again. Not to mention, Carnival needs to find out the cause of the fire. I can't stress that enough, because we don't want to see this happen again on another ship. Remember, Freedom is one of 5 ships in the Conquest class. She's actually the newest one. The Conquest class consists of, obviously, the Conquest, the Glory, the Valor, the Liberty, and the Freedom. So all of these vessels could be subject to this same issue that caused the fire on board the Freedom, which is why it's of the utmost importance that Carnival determines what exactly went wrong. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic or catastrophizing, please let me know about it in the comments below. I just think it's really important that they learn what happened and fix it across that class of ships. Now, before we get on to the good news coming out from MSC Cruise Line, as well as the great news coming out from Down Under, I want to remind you I'm hosting a group cruise aboard the Carnival Sunshine. We're cruising on October 24th of this year out of Charleston, South Carolina. And if you want more info about how you can cruise with me for 5 days down to Half Moon Cay in the Caribbean, there's a link to a Facebook page I have set up for the group cruise in the description below this video. And while you're down there, I really encourage you to check out my Amazon affiliate store. It's the best way to support this channel and my work while you gear up for your next cruise or family vacation. In there you can find everything I take with me every time I cruise, plus all my camera gear and my custom cruise t-shirts. They're all in there, and it's the best way to support this channel. Plus, you're gonna look better than everybody else wearing a shirt like this on your next cruise. All right, that's the last ad of the day. Let's get back to the cruise news. And should we go down under, or should we go to Italia? Me, I like a bloomin' onion, but Italian food's better. Sorry, Aussies. Let's talk about MSC. They've hit a major milestone for their new luxury cruise brand. Yeah, they floated out their first ever luxury cruise ship, the Explorer 1, part of their brand new Explorer Journeys luxury cruise brand. Now, Explorer 1 isn't set to enter operations until about a year from now, but the float out is always a major milestone when the ship finally gets a chance to see the water for the very first time. Explorer 1 is the first of 4 vessels that have been ordered by the MSC Group for their newest luxury cruise brand, and they should be pretty cool ships, able to reach a lot more ports than your traditional cruise ship because of their smaller size. Right then, mate, fire up the Barbie, because for our next cruise news story, we're heading down under. I'm ditching that. I can't do an Australian accent to save my life. We're heading down under for a moment that's been awaited for over 2 years, and that's the return of cruising in Australia. P&O's Pacific Explorer departed from Sydney en route to Brisbane for the first time since before the pandemic. Now, this first cruise, it's more of a shakedown, and the brand is calling it an activation cruise. It's there to host shoreside staff, suppliers, and some lucky travel agents for a nice test of the waters on board the ship. they got to make sure everything's working right and the crew on board gets a chance to make sure they know what they need to do on board the ship. And it's about time cruises resumed in Australia. It's been quite disappointing to report for the last year or more that they're not cruising down under. And it won't be long to wait until the next few ships return to operations in Australia, as on June 16th, in just about 2 weeks' time, the Coral Princess returns. And then on August 22nd, P&O's second ship, the P&O Encounter, returns to operations as well. So there you have it, cruises around the world are getting back in the swing of things. So hey, if you made it this far into today's episode, thank you very much. Please consider helping me out by clicking on that Amazon affiliate link. It'll help give back to this channel just a little bit and you won't pay anything extra. Thanks for stopping by the channel today, and until next time, we'll see ya on the Midships. Sheesh, that Australian accent was bad. Do any of you have a better Aussie accent than I do? Oh, I could not do it, but Emma Cruises would be proud. My British accent, it's on point. Next time we talk British cruising, I'll bring it out to play. La 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 la.